All right, welcome to Agent Tactics. My guest is Matt Holm. He is a dynamo in the Austin market. I love what he's done with his branding, what he's done with growing the people around him, and what he does for the real estate industry. Matt Holm, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've done over the last 10 years? Because I'm going to botch it and not do it justice.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Jeremy. Jeremy, we were telling a little bit about how we connected, and I feel the same energy about you. And people say the pie is infinite, but I truly believe there's enough for all of us, and it's a mental mindset that I love, and I think I showed you the track the other day. Connected you with the owners there. There's enough for everybody across brokerages, and you just said it. At the top, people collaborate. At the bottom, they compete. And if you want to be at the top, collaborate. And so I've been in the market here since '08. I got here, the market was actually reminiscent of right now, except people were losing houses. Right now they have equity and we're not seeing that. But it was just slow. And since then, I've increased my price point. I think I was averaging maybe 120, $150,000 houses back then, a lot of new construction. I found a particular niche, and the riches are always in the niches, but my niches changed a little bit. I helped assist with out of my own pocket with marketing for new construction builders, and built a big business selling 5 to 10 homes a month in my first month, and expanding that going forward. And then I made the transition. I moved to Westlake in 2011, and I started growing really my luxury business just organically. And so it's that whole thing. Whatever you put your time and focus on, and who you surround yourself with, and your network is your net worth. I just surrounded myself with badasses. And so that's the number one thing I can say, is go out, have fun, enjoy yourself, make friends, and do it in an area that is, realtor mixers are fine, but go someplace where there aren't realtors, in something that's a passion of yours, whether that's, I don't know, crocheting, or for me, it was Teslas that I discovered in 2012 when I got my first one. And that has blown up a portion of my business. I started the Westlake Dads Club because we saw that dads didn't really have a place in the elementary schools the same way moms did. You'd go in and volunteer, and there's like 99 moms and one dad reading to kindergartners. We're like, well, what can dads do? And so we can do dad stuff. We power wash the outside. We bring decomposed granite in. We kind of assist in cleaning up, and then we have happy hours. There's always got to be an element of fun, because if you're not having fun, people have to like you, which means you got to be fun, and then they'll trust you, and then they want to do your business, and then they'll never. I've only done buyer's rep agreements since I started with Compass, because they make us. My first 1,200 transactions, I never signed one, because if somebody likes you and they're your friend, they're not going to cheat on you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the loyalty's there, and then the question is, how do you gain that? You have to be that authentic person that loves being around people. And I guess you can cultivate that, but I genuinely get energized just being around people. And then I love to be the dumbest, brokest guy in the room. Like, I want to be around people that are doing amazing stuff, because it's inspiring.
Yeah, and that's what I love is like when we met, you were like, dude, I don't know much about YouTube. I'd love to learn from you. And I'm like, man, I don't know a whole lot. I mean, I've done luxury deals, but I don't know as much as you know about luxury. Like, we should like collaborate. And so, I've given you some tips on YouTube. You're starting to get really more into that social stuff. You're doing some more stuff on Instagram that I love. So I love that, I've always been the same way. Put yourself around the people that are doing things better than you, and you're going to improve as well. Let's talk about starting like the clubs, right? Because I love what you've done with the Tesla Club. I mean, it was crazy about that is you invite everybody, realtor or not, to come to these events and stuff. And you'd think that most agents would be like, oh, that's encroaching on my business, but you're you. So let's talk about starting some of these clubs and how to
Sure.
identify what niche you want to be in when you're starting some of these clubs. And what clubs, or maybe some agents that haven't thought about starting.
Well, I mean, you're going to have an innate thing you like to do. Everybody's got a different like something that they gravitate towards. Like, my wife loves fashion. My son loves soccer. My daughter is, in college, and is working towards PR. And so finding something that you love doing. And for me, I got my first Tesla. I had been a Porsche guy beforehand. I got my first Tesla early 2013, and I almost didn't buy it. It was literally my first new car ever. I've always bought cars, 2 or 3 years old. They've taken 30-40% depreciation because I hate depreciating assets. I love that's why I love houses. Um, but and I hadn't bought a new car, and my wife made me hit the order button on a very expensive car purchase in 2012. And I'm like, oh man, I hope this thing lives up to the hype because I couldn't even drive one. They just weren't around. So I got it delivered, and I was so thrilled with the performance on it. And it's like driving a spaceship, and I was amazed with this thing. The week afterwards, I get a email from Tesla and it says, "Hey, Elon's looking for some help at the Capitol. He wants to gather some of the Tesla owners in Austin. There's a handful of you. Can you come to the Capitol and give testimony about why we should have direct sales in Texas?" And I'm like, "Sign me up." They said, "If you can get there early, talk to the press, get there at 5 o'clock instead of the 6:30 time frame, and the press will be there, give rides." Well, of course, I got there early, and I gave a very enthusiastic chat on multiple channels, and then sat for 9 hours. It was supposed to be a morning session. I sat for 9 hours behind Elon, and anyway, towards lunchtime, a late lunch, he's like, "Hey guys, my guys showed me your video on the newscast this morning. Is there anything I can do for you?" And most people would take that as a throwaway. No, no, of course I'm good. And I'm like, I don't know, can you come to my car and sign my sun visor and my license plate and take a photo? And he's like, okay. So I literally walk out, and I'm in a shame spiral thinking like, oh my gosh, smartest guy I've ever met, and I'm wasting his time. Now I've got to do this long walk out to the cars. And of course the press is there somewhere. I should have saved the video, but somewhere it's him leaning down, signing my license plate, and going in my car and signing my sun visor and taking some pictures and chatting. And so that is what inspired me. The car was amazing. Meeting him personally within a week of owning it. And a few of us went out for cocktails afterwards and said, man, nobody knows about these cars. There's no marketing arm. By the way, there still isn't a marketing arm. It's really just on the backs of people like us that are enthusiastic about it. Why? And so we're like, we need to proselytize about this amazing new vehicle that nobody seems to know about. People are like, is it Japanese? Is it European? Like, what is it? And I must have given 150 rides in like Randall's and HEB parking lots to people that just came up and said, what is that thing? I'm like, you got 5 minutes? You want to drive it around the block? And people are like blown away. Well, it was my enthusiasm for that. But guess what happened? Sometimes I got a new client. They're like, by the way, what do you do? Who are you? Like, you know what I mean? Like this. And so once again, I'm a people person. I get enthusiastic about things. Everybody find your passion, and that's what you need to gravitate towards. Forget like, I guess my thought wasn't monetizing this. It happened to be something that it turned into, but it was 100% passion play, and people can smell if you're doing something for another purpose. So if I force myself to do, I don't know, some cycling club, and I don't love being on a bike, like it's not my thing. But if I love cycling, hell yeah, and let's start I don't know, a gravel cycling group of guys over 50. You know what I mean? That's an interesting demographic. It's my demographic. And guess what? They have a lot of real estate. They run companies and so, you can put some effort into thinking about how do I match that demographic to something I can be a part of easily. And that's a passion of mine. And people love passionate people. And so, like I said, find something you enjoy. I wouldn't say, there's a like an analysis of go to accountants meetings or something like that. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in accounting. I get that people tell you to hit these certain networking things. Find something you love and become a leader in that group, or
Love that.
take on some leadership roles. And I never advertise that I'm an agent. I never mention it to people. I wait, and eventually they ask you what you do. Now the big the big thing, you can see me coming, because I do, for tax purposes, put my cheesy logo on the side of all my Teslas. So if you're in Austin, you'll see my Teslas riding around with the Holm team on the side. It's hard to miss us. But that's really the only advertising or even mention that I do, that I'm even an agent. So I'm not walking around with a name badge. It's just not my style. I'm trying to go out and have fun with cool badasses that I love hanging out with. That's my number one rule. And so find your cool badasses.
Dude, I love that. There's three things that stuck out to me. Number one, just be enthusiastic about something you want to do, right? And don't make it about making money off of it. Just do it for the enthusiasm. Two, don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to make yourself look like a fool. I think we're so busy trying to like make ourselves look good that we forget sometimes all you gotta do is ask a question. Some of the best things that have happened to me have been me just saying yes to something, or just going, hey, do you mind? One of the cool events that I've been to was actually, it was we had done a live stream on my YouTube channel and you were on and you're like, hey, we're doing this event tomorrow night. It's late, 7 o'clock. It's like this billionaire meetup. Do you want to go? And I was like, fuck yeah, I want to go. And I literally was like, Eileen, I'm leaving and I'm leaving right after the podcast to go meet up with Matt. And it was one of the coolest events I've been to. I mean, they got Lamborghinis everywhere. You got, and you're like, yeah, this guy's worth $300 million. This guy just sold all of his stock from Tesla. This guy owns whatever ranch. And it's like, wow, like, okay, this is well worth the time. So sometimes we just have to make time for things. And I think that's the third thing is just make time. Let's talk about getting into not necessarily luxury, but surrounding yourself with higher net worth individuals, right? So, I mean, let's be honest. You have some of your clients, you're not even allowed to say who they are because you have NDAs, right? So, how does someone, if they want to really start working into that mode, right? Like, let's say I want to start having more of those high net worth clients. What do you think the starting point is for most people?
So I would say the number one thing for me is buy the least expensive home in the best neighborhood, right? I mean, same advice I give my clients. Let's think about this as a long-term investment, but buying into and surrounding yourself in an organic situation where you're surrounded by, I moved to Westlake. We were up in Round Rock at Avery Ranch, and it was great, and everything, looked great. And we moved down here into this neighborhood that was built in the 70s and 80s. And I took my wife in here, and she's like, "This place looks run down. It wasn't built yesterday." She's like, "Are you sure you're moving us to a nice area?" And and the first month after we moved in, she's like, "Oh my God, we're in paradise. Like the kids can walk to school. The closest Whole Foods is the downtown Whole Foods here, where we can pop over to the mall. We can go down to the Tremont Park. The shopping at Walsh Tarleton's amazing. And it's the number one rule, right? It's location. So, if you have to get a 1 bedroom condo to be in, whatever, the Austonian, instead of a 5 bedroom house, I would put yourself in the way of people that are doing a lot of cool stuff. And so that's what we did. We moved here really. And the other part was really I drive a ton of work all over Austin. I was showing an 800-acre ranch yesterday in Bastrop, and then later that day I had to go to my listing that's 4.7 in Dripping Springs. And I mean, I'm just all over. The ability that I'm very close to downtown, I can go radiate against traffic. So that was a lot of it. So I can spend more time with my family because it's just tough getting around. So for me, it's location. Put yourself in there, and then to your point, and I love that, say yes. Like you have to be comfortable saying yes. My wife would argue maybe I say yes too much, so I'm trying to make sure I say yes to her and no to the things that she doesn't want me to do. But like this morning, I mean, I was exhausted. I went out and I was hanging out with clients until midnight last night at Soho House, and great group of guys, and they were going to go off and go hang out and continue the party, and I'm like, I'm going home. Well, we got a text from a mutual friend, and he's like, hey, can you meet at 6:15 at Mozart's, and I'll teach you how to wake surf. And I'm like, yes. So I didn't get much sleep, but I got on this wake surfing thing. He's got his trainer with him. The trainer is working in this really fancy gym. I'm kind of tired of Equinox, and this is a whole different thing where they put you in like electrode suits and you work out under like electric whatever. And the guy's talking to me, and to your point about NDAs and the rest, he shared with me a couple of the people that are working out there, and I'm like, oh, okay. And it's in Westlake. It's and it's something that I would be spending an equivalent amount anyway to go to this either collective or a little bit less to go to Equinox. But it sounds like, I mean, it's amazing. The two guys I was wake surfing with and the girl were just ripped. So I kept my rash guard on, cover up my chunky bits here. But I'm going to get ripped. That's my goal this year. It's going to be health, family and relationships, and business. And that's something that in my 50s I'm understanding the importance of, because it's I had Peter Pan syndrome for a long time. You think you're going to live forever, and then you're like, oh shit! Like you start having these health things kick in. You're like, now I get it. Health is the most important thing, and starting earlier and staying healthy is a lot better than trying to fix that. So, but each of those things could be a way to connect with people. Where you work out, where you live, the volunteer stuff you do at school. Each of those is a connection with another human being that happens to be in an area where there's affluence. And so, if you want to break into the luxury market, become your clients that you want to help. And so that's I think pretty much how I did it. I mean, moving here just automatically changed the demographic of who I was working with.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's some of the things. It's hard for me to say yes to a lot of things. I'm like, oh, because I'm doing that. My son's 12, right? So he's getting into that awkward stage. And so especially this summer, we said no. And this year, I was flying around going to all these real estate events and going on stage talking about YouTube. And I said no to a lot this year to focus on family first. And then
Yeah,
so I said no a lot this year. I should have said yes to a few more things, but
it's a
let's talk
balance.
about okay. So once you start connecting with some of these people, what are you doing to cultivate the relationship, right? So it's one thing, I've found this where like I'll meet somebody that's like, okay, awesome. They're doing well. This is somebody maybe that we could see a future doing some business. How do I start cultivating a business relationship with some of these people?
So once again, all business is personal. And so I only cultivate the personal and it automatically is turned into business. So I'll give you a prime example. Another dad that was in the dad's club with me 12 years ago. Our daughters grew up together, and I didn't even know what he did. He's 6'8", so I just assumed he played ball. And I'm like, "You play ball?" He's like, "Yeah," and I left it at that. I never looked him up. Anyway, a couple of years later, he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna have our kids get to invite one other kid to our island in Belize, and can your daughter come?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, Dave. The NBA must have paid you really well. Did you say our island in Belize?" And he's like, "Yeah, I didn't play in the NBA." I'm like, "What the hell? Like, you're 6'8". He's like, "No, I run this fund." And it's like this massive multi-hundred-billion-dollar fund. And he's the CEO. And we're just friends. Well, the other day, I get an invite. The guy that runs F&B for the Proppers has become a good buddy of mine because I spend way too much time there. And he's just an awesome human being. And he had extra tickets for this like 6-course wine pairing dinner, small dinner party, 10 people. And my wife's like, "Yeah, I don't really feel like going to a bunch of strangers hanging around, whatever. So who do I start calling?" I call Dave. And Dave's like, "Oh, my family's still in Manhattan Beach, our house there. I'm back here with, one son. I got time." And so I go to this dinner with him and I get 3 hours of uninterrupted time with one of my favorite people. Funny enough, we're actually building at the Modern with Kevin Burns on the 48th floor. And we both got 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms and made them into 5 bedrooms. So we basically have the 48th floor. So we're going to be neighbors there. And he's an awesome human being, so low key. I've rarely seen him outside of shorts. And then the guy's obviously a crazy, crazy badass. And I've helped him with probably, gosh, I don't even know, 30 million in real estate personally over the last 12 years. So it just turned into business. And they know everybody. They know every agent in town. The distinction is, does he like me? Are we friends? Does he smell commission breath on me? You know what I mean? Does he's like, "Oh, Matt's just hanging out with me because he wants a commission"? The fact is, I only hang out with people I like. I actually made a no asshole rule. Well, excuse my language, but like 6, 7 years ago, where I worked with my last pain in the butt client. I don't even know where I got the recommendation, and they eat up 90% of your energy, and so I can't spend that good energy on the people that I love, who love me. Right? That's all I want to cultivate. And I'm like, you know what? You can smell that. If you're a people person, you can smell that negative energy. First 5 minutes on a call, first time you have a coffee. And I will now say, "Hey, I don't know if I'm going to be a fit. I forgot I'm going to Spain when you're going to be shopping," or I'll look for a reason to just kindly pass them off because I need to save my positive energy for positive energy of other people. And if they even gave me a referral, it'll be another, negative Nancy, whatever, that they're friends with. If they even gave you one, and they're not going to give you one because they're going to find the negative in everything. I want people who are my friends, and that's where I've cultivated. I think I've invited you actually. I don't know if you've come yet, but my walking group on Town Lake.
Oh yeah. I
So I
haven't
do
said
that every
yes
day.
yet.
Yeah, you have to say yes. You got to get your butt down there. So like that's a bunch of 40, 50-year-old dudes just trying to stay medium fat, and we walk and we get free parking under Trader Joe's. We go to Merit Coffee at 8 o'clock every morning. You can see us down there. And we start and we go across Lamar Bridge and we go up to 35 and loop around, and it's just under 5 miles. We get our 10,000 steps in between 8 a.m. and 9:30, 9:45. We grab a juice lane. We all go our separate ways. And so I did that. I started the group just because I needed to work on my health. I had some heart issues a couple of years ago, and I'm like, shit, I got to like do something consistently every day that's going to really make me a consistent cardio, get to zone 2, and just keep myself in check. And so anyway, that's another organic thing that I started for my own health that's turned also into a networking thing. It's kind of funny, I joke around, it's not a running group or a biking group, it's a walking group. And so some people are like, how old are you guys? Like 80? But you know what? When you're walking and you're side by side and you're with a group of people and the conversation just flows, it's really, you're creating a community. We've created a community, and we've genuinely become like friends, and we tell know about each other's wives and girlfriends and kids, and share each other's excitement about things, and help each other problem solve. And it's once again, it comes from a genuine friendship. And so say yes to stuff and go make more friends, like genuine friends doing stuff that you love doing.
I love that. One of the couple of questions we have in the comment section here. So you keep asking your questions. I'm going to toss them in here. Are these groups started on Facebook, or are they a different platform, or not at all?
Man, we started so many platforms, whatever works for you. So my Tesla Club, we started on a Google chat group back in 2012. I got into that group even before I got my Tesla. Then we changed to Facebook. Then I didn't like the Facebook thing. If you want to join the Tesla Owners Club, by the way, in Austin, it's just teslaownersaustin.com. If you wait about a week, we're doing a whole new website that's a lot more user friendly and easy to join. But even if you're, if you've got a Tesla, if you're Tesla curious, you can sign up. And we do really fun events. And I hadn't even gotten into this, but we throw bigger events for the after parties than Elon does at the actual factory for some of this stuff. Like, we have a lot of people
Oh,
that come, and some interesting people.
I can vouch for that. Meet Kevin was at one. I've met him a couple times at different Tesla events. One was the cyber, what was it, the cyber rodeo that I snuck into. So talk about a situation to say yes to. So I had a buddy, I was trying to find one of those bracelets. I had a buddy that had a bracelet. He's like, hey, I can't go. So I got this bracelet. I get in there and I went by myself. I run into another guy who actually helped build part of the thing. And there's a VIP section. So I go, hey, we got to get into the VIP section. Guess who's hanging out in the VIP section? He's on the call
Elon.
right here, right? So we find our way up into the VIP section. I go, as soon as we get up here, we just got to grab a drink and make it look like we're up here, right? So we grab a drink and we're just walking around. I run into Matt, say hi to him. I'm running around the Dogecoin girl, McLaren girl I ran into before in the parking lot and talked to her. She was amazing. So we're standing there, and I noticed there's a secondary VIP in the VIP. And I'm like, that's kind of where I need to get into. Like, that's kind of where I need to go. Like, this cool. And as I'm standing there, I'm talking to people. Oh yeah, I developed Rough Hollow. Oh yeah, I helped develop Circle C. Like, I'm just like having conversation with people. Oh, and we're talking like big, like amazing people. And so I'm like, oh, this is great. I sneak into the VIP, the VVVIP, and I get pictures with Harrison Ford. I get all of the tech guys at Tesla are in there. Was it Franz or Hans or whatever his name is? The guy
France,
that
yeah.
that broke the Cybertruck window. I'm
Yeah.
brokering a deal with him and the McLaren Dogecoin McLaren girl to get her in to show do photos. And I was like, this is the most wild thing. And all I did was just put myself around the people.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
awesome.
yeah, just a fun story there. So the other question we have is, other than social methods, are you using anything specific to continue conversation with higher profile clients? Is there something that worked really well for you? Do you have clients that have expectation of something special?
Yeah, so I do have a list of probably 120 of my VVIPs. And just as a reminder, now this it's in a CRM. I don't use it to spam. Hey, it's April. It's time to change your flowers, and here's my favorite apple pie. I want people to actually open it for a good reason. So I send it out for two reasons. One, let me save your butt by helping you fight your taxes or homestead or whatever. And the other one is, let's go party. And so up until COVID, I was throwing a party. The last one had about 500 people at it, but I would throw the invite out there to my VIP clients and the Tesla Owners Club at my personal house. There is something to be said of letting people into your personal space, and people will maybe not go to a happy hour you throw, but if you're like, hey, come to my Christmas party, or and in my case, it was a Tesla party. Even if you don't have a Tesla, you're one of my bros, you're one of my favorite people, you're one of my wife's girlfriends, blah, blah, whatever. Come hang out. And people really appreciate being invited into your personal home. Plus, I argue you should throw at least one party a year to clean up all your shit, because we all get used to the piles of crap that's like all over the house. And until you have a party, you're like kind of get used to it. So it allows at least one time a year to tidy your house up. But then I've just found I'll throw parties. We threw the after party for the cyber rodeo that you went to. The next day, we had 1,600 people that showed up. It was more of a round table. That one wasn't a party. That was a day event. Cybertruck release, we had 1,100 people at Luster Pearl East. And Franz showed up, the chief designer, the guy that broke the window. We become friendly with him, and that's great. We had the largest gathering of Cybertrucks at a friend's I don't know, 2,000-acre ranch in Waco. He's
Oh,
building a
that was
racetrack
cool.
up there.
I saw the
And
video.
yeah, the video broke the internet. We had like 2 million people that did it. And oh, that was because we made friends with the guys with the Exotic Network. By the way, this Sunday they're doing some event 5 to 10. But anyway, these kids that are running the Exotic Network, and they're like, hey, can you guys be the lead trucks in our event? So now we're going to all these hypercar events, and we're on like the track, and there's photographers and videographers hanging out the back of my Cybertruck, chained into the sides, taking pictures as Ferraris and Lambos go by at 150 miles an hour. So once again, saying yes. I love cars, so that's not hard. And the Tesla stuff, and so I would say there's nothing like physical content. I'm not going to open up an email unless it's like, hey, it's an RSVP to a party. My assistants will take care of that. I don't look at that. I'll look at a text, but if it's a spam text that says, the little thing, at the bottom, realtor, my biggest compliment is your, referral bullshit. It sounds salesy. I won't open. But if it's like, hey, bro, we're going to go do something. You want to hang out? Come check it out. Like, keep it conversational, keep it genuine is the number one thing. I hate the word networking. It sounds so cheesy. I hate sphere of influence. I hate these terms that make it sound artificial. Like, no, go make some friggin' friends doing stuff you love to do. That's what it is. Forget the other terms. You should be going having fun and hanging around with some people. And so how do I turn that into business? Eventually they're just like, hey, Matt, I want to do a deep dive with you. Like, what do you do? It's like, well, I've sold over $1 billion in real estate. I've done stuff all over. Here's my projects I do. A couple of years ago, I was number 2 in the city. I'm consistently in the top 10, blah, blah, blah. And so it's like, oh, I didn't know Matt did this. Now people tend to know, when I talk to them, but that's, when I was getting into it, I'd give the history on what I did. And I'm kind of a big deal in real estate. You know what I mean? Yeah, I wouldn't brag like that, but I'd say, hey,
He
this is
tells me
my
that
track
every
record.
time I see him. Jeremy, I'm a big deal in real estate every time.
No, you know what? Anwar Beck says, he's like, Matt, you're locally world famous. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's me. I'm locally world famous.
Hey,
So
let's dive into your team a little bit because that's, I think, what's really great about you is you have a CFO. Now, for those on the call or those watching the replay, his CFO is not a chief financial officer. It's a chief fun officer. Okay.
yes,
And so,
preach.
I'll let him tell you about his team, but I think this is something too, as we are growing and expanding, you're talking about doing all this stuff. And my brain is going, I don't have time for all of that. And I'm sure Tom said the same thing in his mind. I don't have time for all of that. So how do you break this down with your team?
I mean, first of all, like we have an office. I'll give you an example. If you come to our Compass offices, I've got an office at the back, and everybody else's office looks it's nice, it's stylized well. They have computers and desks. Ours has one desk and a couch and a bar and a refrigerator and 2 swivel chairs and a TV that looks like a piece of art that is just showing pictures of my beautiful team and awesome people that I work with. And it's more of a lounge. And I found that when we go in there, I want to be comfortable. And like we're not like monkeys typing on a computer and sitting there doing that. You need a space to work if someone wants to go in and work, but realistically you cultivate the stuff around you to be fun. And even my office is more fun than other people's offices, right? So what else did you ask? Where was I going with
So
that?
what's your team structure look like?
Oh, team structure. Okay. Structure. Yeah, I'm not good at that, but I'll tell you about my team. Anwar Beck is my chief fun officer. Anwar Beck and I met through the Tesla Owners Club. He was like 7 years ago. We met in California at the President's Club. And so he was in Houston. He was working on oil and gas, running some $35 billion Mozambique pipeline and splitting his time between Africa and Woodlands, and barely saw his family. And he was just like, dude. And I'm like, dude, you support Tesla and you're working for the enemy. What are you doing oil and gas shit for? Like, you need to quit that. And he's like, well, you seem like you're doing pretty well. And like, you're fun to hang out with. Like, I went to UT. Maybe I'll move back to Austin and work with you. And I'm like, sure. I mean, random people say that all the time. You know, like, yeah, of course you will. And we just connected. I mean, the first night we were hanging out, we went to the only rodeo bar in Fremont in the Bay Area, and we're riding mechanical bulls and stayed out till 3 o'clock in the morning and barely made it to the president's meeting. I mean, like I said, we started with fun. And so
Tom, you take
he
note. I want to see you on a mechanical bull, Tom.
so he actually did what he said, and he rolled into Austin, and he's been with me now, gosh, at least 5 years, I guess. And he literally just goes out and has fun. And well, he's just had a baby, so he's got a tighter window of fun. I used to call myself day shift and him night shift. Like I'd go to bed by like 8:39, and he'd take over and run the late shift. Now he's kind of neither day shift or night shift. He's like whatever baby can let him go through. But I remember having our first child, and it's a lot, you know. And so he's starting to get back out there. His son Ion just turned 1, and so he's getting out there. So that's Anwar Beck, Chief Fun Officer. Operations, my girl Carrie. I mean, my gosh, she is amazing. So being able to have somebody I can rely on. She's been 17 years an agent. I gave her a Tesla and to drive while she works with me and pay her very well. And I told her, listen, never leave me. If you leave me, I will die, please. And you're like a family friend. Like we love, my wife and I love Carrie. And like, you know, we socialize with her. I gave her tickets to go see a concert with her family the other day. Like, once again, the people around me, I want to genuinely love and love on. And, you know, I like my team, I don't have attrition. People talk about, oh, you know, I'm always in hiring mode because I'm losing this and whatever. And my team has been around. Like people just don't leave unless they have to leave the state or something like that. So we're like a little family. I've got Kaylee and Stacy. They're awesome. They found that they were better together, and so they kind of partner up on stuff. And it's I said that too. Like at open houses, I don't do open houses solo. I always have somebody go with me because you create a vibe. You got some music going. We'll have the champagne popping. We'll have LaCroix for non-drinkers, maybe some snacks, and we're already talking and vibing. And then somebody walks in and they're like just joining the party instead of getting attacked by like, oh, here's a flyer. Let me show you around. Can I be your agent? You know, which is the vibe most people get when they go into an open house. And all of a sudden they want to be your friend. They're like, oh, this is cool. And they get comfortable. So Kaylee and Stacy found that was really powerful together.
Now, are they
Um,
agents on your team or are they
they are.
support
They're
staff?
agents. They're
Okay.
agents. Yep.
Okay.
Stacey Watts, Kaylee Romantic. David Pantel just came over. His dad's a big developer in Reno, wants to figure out doing more of the commercial side. Taylor Sherwood also came from another top agent, wanted to join my team. And he's been a great fit digging up investors out of Miami and New York. And we're putting together some fairly large land deals and stuff like that. He's also an agent. Jesper, oh man, Jesper, I've never met a more happy human being. He is the most fun. He's from Sweden. He sold 50 million in real estate, average price of 300,000 euros his first year in the business in Sweden, and is just a shot in the arm of energy and just happiness. So he's amazing. He's going to be kicking ass. I mean, he did an open house and picked up a $2 million buyer within his first 2 weeks, and just because you can't help but love the guy. And so I like to be around people that are positive and fun and so yeah, that's been kind of one of the secrets. Sarah's niche is more kind of northwest area. Anyway, yeah, I just have great agents that work
So,
with me.
so let's talk about structure then. So you have your assistant,
Yeah.
and then you have how many buyers agents, how many support staff, how many.
So she's more operations assistant. And then
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to I'm not going to say anything for Compass, but it's just true. Like we have a lot of support within Compass. So we have a marketing person. We have people that can help with the office to print stuff. We just have a lot of support. You can call somebody. You know, our brokers are available if people have questions. So the nice part for me is I can run a team, but I'm not getting 50 phone calls a day with, you know, questions that can be farmed out, and because there's other layers before they get to me, right? And
Gotcha.
Carrie being 16 years licensed, if it's a process thing that somebody has a question on a contract, they go to Carrie before they come to me. Like
Yeah.
if it's like, oh shit, this thing might go to a lawsuit, Matt, what do we do? Can you problem solve it? That's where I step in and go, hey, here's what you're going to do. Here's your tone. Here's how you're going to say it. Let's practice it. Now go. You know, that's the shit that I step in where it's like, hey, let me problem solve. Hey, Matt, this seller's being inflexible. What do I do? You know, this buyer wants this, or, you know, and so I go in and problem solve to make sure the deals, I'm the glue that makes stuff stick,
Love that.
is kind of what I do. And everything
You,
else I farm out.
you're definitely gluey, I'll tell you that. Uh,
I'm sticky.
Melissa asked, do you have someone helping you with events? What's a good start budget for these events? Like, so let's say you're not Matt Holm, right? You're not
Yeah.
doing 100 million in production. If I want to put on an event, like what should I be trying to do? What price point? And then who do I have helping me?
Yeah. So let me think. Gosh, what? Because it doesn't have to be expensive. Like some of our events are free. Oh, like for example, we have a light show going on August 8th. I'm going to be in LA. Talk about great networking. If I go through the 3 trips I'm making this month, I'm only hanging out with billionaires. It's friggin' crazy. I don't even believe my life right now, but we'll go back to events. In the meantime, the Domain North girl that runs marketing there approached our club and said, "Hey, we want to do a light show on the roof. Can you get like 80 Teslas and then time them all to do a light show at dusk?" And then she's like, "And then we'll open some spots at Culinary Dropout for you guys to hang out afterwards. And for the first 50 people to show up, I have a swag bag with hats and all this stuff." The cost of this, $0, right? You go and say, "Hey, I'd like to bring my whatever club, or I'd like to do this." I mean, if you like a group of like our walking group, it's a walking group. There's no cost to that. Like it's like, "Hey, do you want to join this walking group? We do 5 miles a day. Get your butt in gear." You know what I mean? That's it's an event. It's a daily event that works. Like so, joining whatever clubs you organically like to go to, it doesn't have to cost money. And then the parties. I mean, I don't know. I go to Rudy's and I get too much barbecue usually. I hire a bartender. I get our cleaning lady. I tell her, "You stay, please, until I wake up the next morning and everything looks perfect." And so I pay her very well. So I would say my budget for my party is probably, and I usually get a band. So anyway, probably 5 grand if you're going to throw a big blowout for like 500 people. But you don't have to start there. It doesn't have to be anything major. It can be very, very reasonable. If you got a friend with a boat, invite some VIPs to go on the boat and try wake surfing. Like I did that this morning, and I'm going to go try out this workout, and I'll probably be working out of this place with some wealthy, famous people who are in town that based on the location and what I was told this morning. And byproduct, I get in better shape. What I'm working on this year. I'm trying to think what else would be free.
You
I
know,
mean,
one thing that so Ken Posick, so out of Orlando, and this is something Eileen and I had talked about doing this year. We'll probably do it September when it's starting to cool down a little bit. But grabbing like Mr. Softy, right? Have Mr. Softy show up to a splash pad and send out invites to all of your people, all of your top, let's say you have 500 past clients, right? So go to your top 100. Maybe you don't even have a bunch of clients, just maybe people that are in your database or friends, send them out and then just have them invite their kids. Mr. Softy is going to cost $500. Something it's not super expensive. And I mean, to some people, $500 is very expensive, but what Ken did this with 120 people, he got what the equivalent to Mr. Softy is over there. It cost him less than $1,000 total. He had his team help him out, and they got like 6 or 7 deals basically from that event directly in referrals within the next like month or two.
yeah.
So, I mean, that well paid for it. So that's something that's super inexpensive that'll cost you less than $1,000.
So I was thinking about another one. We had a Super Bowl party. Now it depends on whether it can work or not, but at our local park down the hill is Tremont Park. So we got permission to use the park. Said, "Bring your chairs, bring your coolers. We're going to have a taco truck." We had a minimum amount you had to pay on the taco truck, which we had no problem hitting because so many people bought tacos. We brought out some projection TVs and some sheets and shot it up on the wall. And we most people leave because it gets dark and a little cooler after sunset, so they make it to halftime. They watch the halftime show, they go home. But that's in your neighborhood. You could be doing something like that and throwing something, a Super Bowl party or whatever, a football watch or whatever your sport is. Anyway, my brain's now thinking. I'm trying to think of like reasonably or no cost things that you can do because yeah, I had an event that cost 120,000. Luckily, we got sponsors for 115 of it. I came out of pocket 5 grand. That's good because once you grow it to a certain level, people want to be around so much they're willing to write big checks. And so that's what I've done with the Tesla Owners Club because it's still on my back. I still probably spend, I don't know, 10, 15,000 a year just because I'm just like, I'll just write a check. I don't really care. Like if it's a cost, I usually just absorb it. But we're getting better at connecting with people. And if you build a club Like you'd be surprised how many people want to sponsor that, whatever that niche is. There's people
Oh,
that are like, oh, I want those clients for me too. That's in another niche, and how can I attract them? Like for us in the Tesla Club, it's the people that do the wrap on your cars. It's people that sell accessories for it, and it's like, hey, can you write a check for 10 grand? How much can I make it 20? And can I get premier labeling? I'm like, okay, and so I will say, for a lot of that, poor Carrie does a lot of duty. So if we need to make something, I have also pay a marketing girl. That's why you're seeing my social do better. I'm horrible at it, but Randy's amazing, and she's making me just send raw videos, and then she turns it into something that I'm assuming people see. By the way, if you like my videos or Instagram, don't get mad if I don't comment, because I don't even look at my own stuff. But so I'm not trying. Just I'm like in person, text or phone call. That's all I do. But at least,
one thing you did, which I thought was probably really cheap. I mean, relatively, this is a Tesla event that I went to. You had at your office, you put up like a couple of TVs, you streamed, I think it was this, not the Cybertruck, but the Cyber Diesel truck, whatever it was. They were
semi.
doing the launch event. And so you put together basically a viewing party, and
Yeah.
you had, I mean, you probably spent $200 on pizza,
Yeah.
300 or 400 bucks on alcohol and drinks. And you had literally people sitting there talking the entire time in between. Then there was maybe 35 minutes of the actual launch, and then people hung around for another hour, and then people walked out and looked at cars. Like this is like super simple stuff. Like you can just put a
Yeah.
viewing part, like I love Formula One, right? I should start doing a Formula One club in Austin and just
Yep.
like start putting on viewing parties every week. And the bars would love for me to do it
100%.
at
There
their
you go.
bars, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I don't even have to spend any money. I get people just to come to the bars.
Yeah, and the bar is stoked. Like we did the same thing. The only thing is they won't close it down to the public, but like that's what we did because we had rented this other space over on the east side, and that was the one that cost us 120,000. But like most of that was the venue and security. Because anyway, it was a whole thing. Um, and then I'm like, man, that was just way too much, and it was a lot to organize and took months to do. So the next after party that we did, we literally just went to what's the name? Luster Pearl East. And we're like, hey, here's what we want to do. We don't, but we're not going to pay a rental fee, but we're going to have like 1,000 people that are going to buy the crap out of your drinks and any food you have. So is that cool? And they're like, yeah, we're just not going to. So, I mean, we were kind of open to everybody anyway. Anybody could walk in, and they clicked through 1,100 people. We took over their whole back parking lot, all this stuff for the cost of the tents and some of this other stuff. We got sponsors to pay for, but realistically, your first event's not going to be 1,100 people. It's going to be 20 if you're lucky. So you can go to a bar and just say, hey, can you turn the game on? And there's your watch party. We're
Yeah.
going to have a pitcher of beer. Like, okay, you're a patron. Great. You want to call ahead and ask if they're playing the game, and if you have room for 20 people, great. But I mean, like sometimes our events are just rolling up and going, hey, we're taking the space over. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. It really does. I mean, even my parties, like if you told me today 500 people are coming to your house at 6 p.m. tonight, I could throw a pretty badass party with about 4 phone calls. It's not that complicated. So I think a lot of people overstress, like, oh my God, I don't know how I do this and whatever, but just you have to make it easy. If you make it a barrier in your head, you're just never going to do it.
Yeah.
Just, let's come to my backyard, and I'll put a projector on the back, and let's watch a soccer game if your folks like soccer. I don't know. I mean, you just have to get off your butt and do it. Just do something. Be the center of fun for your little group, and it could just be friends and friends of friends. That's all business. I promise you. Once they like you and they know you're the dude or girl that sells real estate around, they're like, man, that was awesome. It's the nature of reciprocity, right? I give you an experience, or I give you something. You are in your mind already thinking, how can I pay this person back? Well, how do they pay
Yeah.
you back as a realtor? They hopefully give you some business. And if they don't, then that's fine too. You also have to be good with that. Like, it's not like I go in there and everybody in there is going to send me business, but it's enough. It's like legitimately a cultivated group of people, and the people that really love on me, that I love on, like I'm their guy. Like
Yeah.
there's no like shopping anybody else. Like they fiercely, like I get these aggressive agents, they walk into open house. Oh, you haven't signed a buyer's rep agreement? I can do a better job, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like trying to steal my clients, and my clients tell me about it. And I'm like, okay, a little demerit next to that guy's name or person's name if I ever happen to see them. But realistically, I never know those agents because they're the ones that have the desperation on them, and they're not going to be successful because they're desperate, and you can smell it on people, right?
Yeah.
And so once again, authenticity, being friendly, saying yes.
I love it. Tom, stop stealing people's clients. I'm looking at you, buddy. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love Tom. All right, so let's start asking some questions. You can just unmute yourself. We got about 10 minutes left. I want to make sure we don't go over today. I got to drive to San Antonio because there's a guy who does a lot of like investment stuff, and I was like, hey, you know what? A lot of people on my YouTube channel ask about doing foreclosures. Would you want to jump on camera and actually like show how you're buying foreclosures at a foreclosure auction? He's like, hell yeah. So. You can unmute yourself. You got 10 minutes left with Matt Holm, one of the top agents in the Austin area. Let's go. Jennifer, Tammy, what do you got?
I'll step up. Why
Yeah.
not? First of
Hey.
all, Matt, I was in your office while I was looking at your office just like a week or two ago. I love
Oh,
that
cool.
giant mini Tesla that you have in the,
Oh, the Cybertruck or the
yeah,
Roadster?
yeah,
Yeah.
the Tesla truck. It's like
Yeah.
if a Tonka truck grew up, it would be that Tesla.
Love it.
Yeah, and I shot Jeremy, we shot at the Dogecoin lady's house, right?
Well, it wasn't her house. That's Matt's personal home he owns. He's selling.
But
Oh,
she's a friend from the community, and she had some immigration problems in Canada. She's like, "Can I store my McLaren in your garage?" I'm like, "Well, I got a house I'm selling around the corner. Can I park it there?" And she's like, "Yeah." So I love it because people walk in, and when I ask them for feedback, and they've shown 20 houses that day, I'm like, "It's the one that has the Shiba Inu dogs wrapped on a McLaren." Nobody forgets that listing.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
it was fun. We had so much fun shooting there.
yeah, cool.
It was definitely fun. So my question for you is, so I'm a runner and I've recently just started running with run clubs.
Yeah,
And I love your idea. And I'm thinking, what you've got me really thinking, what I was already thinking was I think I need to start my own run club. There's so many in Austin,
yeah,
but I just want to run at the lake. So um, I wanted to thank you because I think all you've really done for me today is kind of confirm I do need to do my own thing, which I really appreciate. And because it's the thing I love and I'm doing it anyways. And maybe
yeah.
I'll add like the dog element, like your price of entry is your dog or something, and
There you
just
go.
do something fun. And then I just wanted to give you as a thought, and I don't know if you're already doing this, but
Yeah.
number one, thank you. And number two is I think you could do some, if it's a thing, take it or not. But maybe what you do for after your, car events and stuff is you have testimonies.
Tesla what?
Testimonies instead of testimony.
Tesla. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And
I
then
love that.
just
Yeah,
have, everybody show up for the testimonies.
yeah. That's good. I like
So
that. I like that. I'm going to change that on my website.
there you go.
Nice. We're gonna see.
Thank you.
We're gonna see Jennifer running past us on the trail, Matt.
Yeah, and find your niche. Like, who do you like hanging out with? Where? I mean,
Yeah.
like, do you want to do the dogs of the lake, or like we named our group Straight Off the Trail. And people are like, well, what does that mean? That's our walking group. Don't you want to join Straight Off the Trail? And it's because half the time I get home, I'm still wearing sweaty sweatpants and a shirt, and my wife's like, honey, it's 4 o'clock. What were you doing? You were out walking till now? I'm like, oh no, I've been showing properties all day, and I had to go straight off the trail. And she's like, baby, you look homeless and greasy and a mess. Why do you do that? And so the joke is, we're out straight off the trail. We're going straight from the trail to go show stuff. My wife has upgraded my 20-year-old holy Adidas pants to like Lululemon and stuff, so I look somewhat acceptable. But you will definitely see me in athleisure wear, cruising around inappropriately, showing expensive homes, a bit sweaty, but business calls. So yeah, but I would find a group that you just click with. And I mean, running around Town Lake sounds like an awesome start. So we'll see you down there if you're there between 8 and 10.
Yeah, I'm usually done by then, but if I see you, I mean, it's hard to miss your trucks and stuff, so I'll definitely pop a hello.
Cool.
And I just want to say thanks for your time today. It's really great to, like, you can feel your enthusiasm, and that's super important.
Yeah.
So I love that you're doing so much of just like you wake up every day and you're fired up. So thank you for that, because it's
Thank
hard
you.
sometimes in this industry to remember like it can be fun too.
Yes, it needs to be fun. You have to make it fun. Find your fun. Yeah,
Find
awesome.
your fun. Thank you. I just want to say thank you more than anything.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Tom, what do you got? Melissa, what do you got?
I've been asking all those questions in the chat box.
Oh, okay. We need to go back to that.
Oh, you've already answered them.
Oh, I do.
I'm really impressed by you, Matt. And I might be the only agent in Austin that didn't know who you were until this live.
Okay,
So,
good. Well, howdy.
but thanks to Jeremy, thanks to Jeremy,
Yeah.
now I know. But yeah,
Yeah.
I echo what the lady just said earlier. It's pretty infectious, um, attitude of gratitude and just appreciating and loving on your clients or future clients. So, I mean, it is basic stuff, and this is kind of things you forget about as an agent when you're just in the thick of it and really trying to work and prospect, but you're keeping it super you and
Yeah.
unique. So thank you for the reminder that you just really need to be yourself and do the things that you love, and you'll attract the people.
Law of attraction, 100%.
Yeah, believe it.
What do you got, Liza? I see your hands raised.
Yes. I don't know if you've always been an extrovert, Matt. It seems like you are. All the suggestions that you're giving kind of give me social anxiety because I'm a bit of an introvert. What
Yeah.
tips do you have for me? My best friend Melissa, she's on here as well. She knows how I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
So I want to do the things that you're mentioning. I'm just a little bit
Totally get it.
yeah.
My wife is definitely that way. And believe it or not, I was that way till I was a teenager. And the two things that brought me out of my shell, I still self-identify as an introvert that's become a forced, just through repetition, extrovert. And now people are like, there's no way you were ever an introvert. I'm like, I swear, I was a bookworm. I didn't talk to anybody. And I got into sports in middle school and I hung out with a bunch of dumb jocks. And I'm like, oh, these guys think I'm funny. And like, they're kind of idiots, so I can say whatever I want to. And then I started working at a restaurant, and they almost didn't take me from busboy to waiter because I'd go to a table and I was shaking so bad and I couldn't find my voice. And they're like, Matt, I don't think we're ready. And they're like, give me one more chance. And just, it's reps, right? It's reps. And it is not fun. Like to this day, I can talk to you guys on a camera. I can talk to whatever, have 2 million people on YouTube, doesn't bother me. But you put me in front of a room of people and I shut down. Like that's something I got to work on, right? And that's the number one fear, right? Worse than death. And so I'm like, okay, I got to get myself in front of more people and do roundtables and do something. And I'm better at roundtables, but like the thought of sitting at a podium and talking to like 300 people gives me the poops. Like I don't want to do it, right? So yeah. So for you, I would say take your baby steps. Like, is there a group of introverted people that like reading books and you could do a book club? Like I'm like about, I don't know, working through your, I don't know, I'm trying to think. I don't want this to sound cheesy or whatever, but I'm thinking like, can you do something that would be in your comfort level? Like it's baby steps, right? Like up to what group of people can you do this with? Could you invite 2 friends out? Is that comfortable? Then try 4 friends. Hey, let's go do something. Then try 5. And you don't have to lead the conversation. You can be focused on whatever you're doing. And the other thing, like, for example, the walking group. So I can't remember who told me this, but they said, when you're sitting down looking at each other in front of people, there's an adversarial position there. But when you're walking side by side, people share more intimate things with each other and they're in a kind of this rhythm and this like almost meditative state. And like, I swear that's part of the reason why this walking club, we become so close. So maybe if you like exercising or doing these kind of things, like bringing 1 extra person, because 2 turns into 3, turns into 4. And then it's just like, oh, I know all these people. There's nothing to be intimidated by. And I'm going to invite all 10 of them to whatever. And guess what? They already like you. You built that friendship and then they want to support you. And I don't know. I just say baby steps. It's just reps. And what you can, if you can face the fear, you can overcome it, but it's facing it, right? And that's the hardest part for anybody. Like if you invited me today, Jeremy, to go like stand in front of a bunch of people and talk, I'd be like, bro, no, I'll do a round table and I'll chat, but I can't have all focus on me. And I don't know what that is, but I guess what? I probably need to do that because you have to face it to get over it. And then it's just reps. It's just reps.
Awesome.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tom, what do you have? This is the last one, and we got to roll.
Yeah, I think just instead of asking a question, there's something that I've been teaching. New agents tend to say stuff like, I'm not going to say that. That doesn't sound like me. I'm not going to do this. So instead of making that you as an introvert, put on a mask and try being this extroverted person for an hour. And when that's over, go home and take a nap and recharge, because being by yourself is your jam. But you fake it, they fake it till you make it. I don't like the phrase, but go put on this mask, just like any kid puts on a mask for Halloween and suddenly they're that person. Be that person.
That's
Love
great.
it. Well, thank you, Matt. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, bro.
We do this every Friday. So if you want to join the next Friday's calls, we're going to be doing YouTube over the next 2 weeks. I got 2 amazing guests the next 2 weeks. And then also, if you're on the mailing list, I email out and the next week's guest on Monday. So stay tuned for that. Matt, thanks, man. I appreciate you.